Holy fear of dentists, Batman! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And oh boy. I'm so sorry, Dragon. Wow. Hold on. Do you want to do it? Do you want to just do that over, Dragon?
Yes, just quickly. Let's do it over again. Just
all right. Take two, folks. This is Muppets behind the scene bloopers. This is a big episode. All right. Take two. Holy fear of dentist, Batman. Tiki here, and I'm watching through each and every episode of Batman the Animated Series for the first time. And today, folks, we get to a big one. We get to something super acclaimed, something that definitely pushed a lot of buttons back in the day, something that really definitively put the stamp on Mrs. Harleen Quinzel. Dragon, tell them why.
Well, you see, folks, long ago, I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
The time is fun. The time has come, folks. We're getting to Mad Love. I don't know why I sing it like that. Mad
no
Love.
Idea why I did that either. Just
Mad Love.
I think you're thinking Mad Love.
Oh, God. All right, Dragon, I don't know. I didn't think this episode was all that. No, I'm just kidding. It was great. Here's the thing, though, Dragon. This is, to me, almost the most indie film episode of Batman the Animated Series that we've ever gotten in some respects. Even though it stars like a really big top-tier character, I really feel like this has all the markings of like just kind of like a quiet, intimate, personal tragedy in 20 minutes. And it's it's got all the symbolism, it's got a great 3-act structure, it's got some really heavy-hitting dramatic moments. I mean, this is barely a superhero story at all, Dragon. I mean, this is very much just we're going to just put under the microscope and showcase some domestic abuse. So definitely want to put a trigger warning out there for anyone who who might be upset by conversations about domestic abuse and abusive relationships and stuff like that, because this episode definitely dives into that sort of subject matter, and so we don't want to be upsetting anyone as we jump into it. But Dragon, I want to just say, Dragon, I don't think this is like in my top 5. I think it's probably like, if I'm being completely honest, it's probably hovering outside my top 10, like maybe, if we were to do a top 10, it'd be like an honorable mention. But Dragon, I still acknowledge, I mean, we're to the point where it's like, we have got gem after gem after gem from, this isn't the early days of season 1 and 2 where there's only so much to pick from. Like, we're picking from the best of the best from this point. So this episode, absolutely fantastic. And I feel like the only reason it kind of comes down to not getting into my top 10 and instead being an honorable mention is sort of a personal taste thing. But Dragon, how do you feel about it?
I've always been a sucker for Mad Love, one of the great stories. It's absolutely just kind of it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best one-shot Batman stories ever written. Truly, it's one of the great Batman stories. And of course, Batman's barely in it. He's just more of the device within the story, which makes it even more interesting. I think it's one of the best things Paul Dini's ever wrote. If I'm just being kind of like,
it's got Dini flair all over it, buddy boy.
Basically, this is kind of This is Paul Dini's magnum opus in many respects. This is like the Dini story. This is like
is this the one that he won an Emmy for?
Well, I mean, see, Dini won Emmys for kind of work on Tiny Toons and stuff, and when it comes to like Batman the Animated Series, if I recall correctly, because they won 2 Emmys, and there are 2 Emmys, I want to say episode-wise, were for Heart of Ice, clearly, which is also very Dini, and Robin, I believe Robin's Reckoning Part 1, if not just Robin's Reckoning. So those were the 2 Emmy episodes.
Gotcha.
But so absolutely, again, Dini's opus. Now, of course, I'll just jump into the background. Let me tell you the story of that. It's riveting. Okay. So director on this was Butch Lukic. Of course, now he's kind of producing stuff like Superman, Man for Tomorrow, which we talked about. But before that, he was always kind of in the Batman kind of writer's room and such. He was basically in the story department, and he directing wise, he had done You Scratch My Back and Love Is a Crock, just giving again kind of the romantic kind of tether with these episodes. Of course, the writing on this done by again very much the 1-2 punch team of Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. Of course,
That's
when these guys
combo, bro, that's a deadly tag team fight.
When they collaborate, it's huge. So I'm putting in perspective here. It's been a while, and we're kind of coming close to the end essentially. So the original comic that this is based on, that's Bruce, that literally had the exact creative team, both writing and art wise, on this. They had done Heart of Ice together as like the first big collaboration. Then they go and do my favorite episode, which is Laughing Fish, and then do another kind of big ensemble piece that includes a little bit of Harley Joker stuff with Trial. So
yeah,
that's when you combine those two in a room, you get gold. Studio worked on this was Coco with a little splash of the old house studio, Dong Yang. Of course, having done episodes like Joker's Millions, Holiday Nights, and Legends of the Dark Knight. Honestly, now I'm thinking about all three of them technically adaptations. So again,
I'm just going to go ahead and say on the record right now, I still don't think that the Joker is on the level as like the pre-revamp Days Dragon, but I do think this is the best he's looked in the revamp era.
True. I mean, I absolutely agree. If you're gonna, we may not be happy about it, this is the best it's going to look in terms of the dynamic animation you're going to get from this model of Joker. It's the best he's going to. I mean, this and World's Finest are probably the best that Joker's going to look.
Sure.
Okay, so here's what gets us mad love. So since the beginning of Batman the Animated Series, you had a tie-in comic. You had the Batman Adventures tie-in comic, right?
Yes.
I've name dropped now and again, but I'm just saying, just giving you the perspective here. So the editors at DC at the time in the '90s, you had Paul Levitz and Denny, the late great Denny O'Neil. Denny O'Neil, they collaborated on a few episodes. Of course, they adapted some of O'Neil's work through the years of the animated series. So at a certain point, they've been reading the comic and watching the show. So they invite Bruce Timm and Paul Dini to do a one-shot comic together. Why don't you guys collaborate and you pitch us like a one-shot story? So basically, this is their ticket to the big leagues, Tiki. This is like beyond essentially like a tie-in book. It's like do like an official DC comic, but in your style. Which is huge. So the year's 1993. This is post Mask of the Phantasm, and very eerily, this is right after Dini's recovering from his brutal mugging, which was around Phantasm.
Oh yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a lot of deep psychological elements in this thing. So yeah, we can explore that for sure. Also, we have a comic piece in the comments here really quick.
Hey.
He just says, the look may not be up to par, but the character is still there. Absolutely.
That's always been the frustrating thing, because this Joker has had such phenomenal writing in places, and it's just like, why do they have to look that way?
At the end of the day, the character is, what counts. So
certainly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Joker's Million, such a fun episode, and of course this so compelling, but why can't we give him lips? Come on. Okay, so of course, the Paul Dini's mugging was wonderfully detailed in Dark Knight True Batman story, which I highly recommend to everyone to check out if you want possibly one of the best Batman graphic novels ever made. One would be like a top shelfer. So in Dini's recovery, Arlene Sorkin, as we know from that book, she was very present in the healing process, which I assume kind of gave Dini the light bulb and like, let's do a Harley story. So the duo kind of concocted the idea of like, you know what, we let's use the character that we created special for the animated series in Harley Quinn, and let's tell her origin story, because at this point, Tiki, in '93, like right after Phantasm, they had not ever really. Harley Quinn had just been an aesthetic. She had been like the hench girl, the hench wench. That's all we had done with her. Like, we never talked about where she came from. It was like a little throwaway line.
Yeah, sure.
But the idea was like she was a beauty school dropout. That's all they had. They never figured out where exactly Harley came from. She was like an old '60s Batman. Like, yeah, all the villains had like a mole, so let's give Joker a mole and the Jester costume. That was the idea. So they're chatting the story over lunches, and basically the idea kind of comes in the fray, kind of the Hannibal Lecter of it all, coming from Dini, and they kind of Bruce Timm lends the aesthetic and kind of creates this work of art of a comic, which basically is in the original animated series style. So book comes out in December of '93, and we talked about this, so now I can officially say, now we've gone through it all, is that in season 3 of Batman the Animated Series, so this book had come out, so they now knew the backstory, so they kind of threaded the needle, like Harley would name, like vaguely mentioned that how she met the Joker, like, oh, she used to be a clinical psychiatrist, so that kind of was kind of in there, but they never talked about exactly how that went down. But again, so they had the comic to work off there, and the idea, I believe, is that had the animated series in its original form been picked up, it's like they were contracted for 65 episodes and they reached the end of that run and they just weren't picked up again until like Superman the animated series took off like wildfire. Like, hey, do New Adventures of Batman, give us more. Mm-hmm. So essentially, had they gone on, we would have gotten the episodes like that were in the comics that would have been adapted, like Holiday Nights, which we opened New Adventures with, and most importantly, we would have gotten this in the original style. So these were like holdover things that we would have probably started a season 4 of the original animated series with this before we just kind of changed things, title-wise and everything. And anyway, long story short, the episode very well received, and the book won an Eisner Award. This book won an Eisner Award for best single story ever. And last little tidbit: the way this aired, this actually was aired as the last episode of the new Batman Adventure. So this show never quite got a finale, but this would have been kind of
I feel like it would be an appropriate, like a dark note to go out on, but an appropriate one.
And think about it, Tiki, so wonderfully full circle, given that it's their signature character from the series with Harley Quinn. It would have been a solid way. I mean, I absolutely stand behind it. If you're going to end the series just in some way, shape, or form, this, I feel, might have been the better ending than what we kind of get in terms of how the general audience is kind of coming into the series with the way the episodes are presented, which is the way we're going to be going through.
I'm morbidly curious about the episodes that come after this, Dragon.
Yeah, so that's the interesting. It's so weird, too, because literally, like, the last one and this one are flips. So that's literally, it's like, that's the flip. That's the weird thing, but we'll get there.
Wait, so we only have one more?
No, we have 2 more. So literally, we just have 2 more.
We're getting there.
And Tiki, I'll tease this up. The project will get revealed. This is a big part of the puzzle, Tiki. This is a huge part of the puzzle. This is why you've had to wait so long. This and the episode that'll. Actually, I'm sorry, Tiki. It's 3 episodes. We have 3 episodes left. So okay. Yeah. Basically, after this, and I believe the penultimate episode, you'll be ready for the thing. And then once we get to the last episode, then I'll tell you what the thing is, and then we'll see where it goes from there.
Oh boy! All right.
We're getting there.
Folks, no joke. Dragon has been hyping up the thing for literal years.
Yep, and it's about to happen. Once we finish New Adventures, Tiki, that's when I tell you.
Oh man! Oh god! Wow. Okay.
All right. Okay. Let's dive into this puppy. Let's talk some Mad Love.
Mad Love.
Okay. Let's not do that. Let's not make that a thing.
I don't know why I think of it as like a 70s soul song.
I'm thinking like Roxanne. You're thinking of it like 70. I'm thinking like Mad Love.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so we start with a cityscape overlooking the city, and we kind of like slowly zoom in, and Dragon, it's dentist time. James Gordon hates the dentist, and who can blame him, Dragon? Who can blame him?
I always thought this was such a charming idea. Ever since I watched this episode, and I still hold it like this in my heart of hearts. Gordon, he says it's a stupid waste of time, and I love to think that's because Gordon's so dedicated to the job. He doesn't want to waste time going to the dentist. He wants to help out the common good because Gordon's cool like that. Anyway, so he goes into the dentist's office, Dr. J. Recco, which is really funny.
Yeah, that's not suspicious at all.
Oh, anagrams, how funny. All right, so he's just saying, I don't mind telling you, I think that if this weren't part of the police physical, I wouldn't be here. And we have this great build-up to our dentist.
I love how straightforward and forthcoming Gordon is. Like, it's like usually with Gordon, he's characterized as like very patient and saintly, but not all the time, Dragon. And this is one of those rare examples where the writers aren't afraid to push him into absolutely not unlikable, but he's had a hard day, you can kind of tell.
And again, that's the thing. It's always been consistent with Gordon's character. He hates going to parties. He hates doing like the contractually obligated stuff. He just wants to do the job. It's all yeah. So we have this great buildup. Remind, which is the one with the dentist? I don't know why I'm blanking on it. It's is it Little Shop of Horrors that has like the dentist thing, or am I thinking?
Yes, Little Shop of Horrors. Steve Martin plays the evil dentist.
So we kind of do a little bit of a dentist homage here.
I'm kind of thinking about that, yeah.
So we just have this great silhouette of the dentist preparing for him. Have a seat. I'll be right with you. And says, I don't mind telling you, hey, I hate these checkups. Oh, come now, Commissioner. What in this miserable world is more beautiful? has a nice big smile. Oh god! So this is one of the most genius setups ever. Joker with a dentist theme. It's so fitting, given the smile of it all. It's just so perfect.
Right.
So let's see. So as Gordon's about to bolt, Nurse Harley Quinn uses the old pop gun confetti restraints to tie him down. Behave like that, Doctor won't give you a lollipop.
Oh God.
A lot of fun, of course. Deanie, this is Deanie to a T. This is as Deanie as it gets, writing wise, kids.
Right. It's just like all his favorite toys in a room together, essentially.
Oh yeah, so let's see. We have this great bit here where Joker's like Gordon has like cotton stuffed in his mouth, and he's just like examining the teeth because there's no teeth to examine.
This doesn't look good, Harley. This doesn't look good at all. I'm afraid that everything will have to go.
And of course, right before he's about to essentially give Gordon like a drill lobotomy, it looks like we have an awesome bat entrance. Batman just crashes through the glass to save his buddy.
Yep.
So and he's just instantly
predictable.
Yeah, you're losing your edge. It's just the worst way Batman can get under the Joker's skin is critique him on his schemes. That's like the worst thing Batman could ever do.
Okay, so I want to mark this down with the episode. I love how this episode is like arguably one of the least violent episodes between Batman and Joker, but it's also one of the most brutal in terms of just how much Batman gets under Joker's skin.
Oh yeah, and again, with the whole episode being about the intimacies of a relationship, of course, ultimately at the end of the day, between, as we've learned in great detail with the animated Harley Quinn show recently as well.
Oh yeah,
it's always that love triangle. It's always Batman, Joker, and Harley. It's that triangle.
All
right. So let's see. So Batman's just like calling out, "You're losing your edge." And he reveals like these dentures. Pretty much, it's like a big old unsubtle calling card. These giant chattering dentures that just say like two Batman.
But the teeth were my idea.
So she gasses Batman, which then leads to her making the joke. It's a real gasser, huh, Mr. J? And of course, Joker over is like I love this as a little peek at Act 3. This is so great.
Right.
Grabs her by the little ears on the jester head. Says, "Hey, I do the punchlines around here. Got it?" "Yes, sir." So he's just dragging her out the doors.
Really quick, that "yes, sir." I mean that vocal performance, folks. Give it up for Mrs. Arlene Sorkin. I mean, she portrays fear in this episode, Dragon, on such a subtle but such a convincing level at the same time.
I forgot to mention this at the top. I should have, but I'll mention next since you brought up. This is the finest performance Arlene Sorkin's ever given in the entirety of the DCAU. This is her finest performance ever this episode.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Atomic Beast, really quick, has a funny comment.
Sure. Yes.
Luke Skywalker is your doctor, and he uses his lightsaber to pull your teeth out.
No, he uses the Force to pull your teeth. That's how he does
it. Oh, I don't know what would be worse. I
like that scene in First Class with Magneto.
I think the Force would be worse.
I think it would. But you remember that scene in First Class with Magneto where he's pulling out the guy's fillings?
Okay, thank you, Atomic Beast. You get your own like little side chatter right here. We're gonna side table this conversation for a minute or two, Dragon. So what I imagine with the lightsaber is I imagine it's literally like it's not a full-blown lightsaber, but it'd be like a little lightsaber drill, you know?
Right.
Whereas just using the Force, yeah, as we established, like there's some body horror elements to that. All right, thank you, Atomic Beast, for that stimulating conversation.
Now, so funny he mentions Luke Skywalker outside the obvious being Mark Hamill, but fun. Two things. One, it's a great fun foreshadow of the whole smile thing. Again, I love that Dennis is not just like a genius Joker setup. It's also a great foreshadow for the end, the big important scheme of the episode, with smiles being oh so key.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. But so Joker is making his escape here as Batman's like a little dazed from the gas before Batman can kind of like nab him. Tosses a grenade in Gordon's lap. "May the floss be with you." It's like
there you go. That's got to be a Star Wars thing.
The one Star Wars reference they ever did.
Oh yeah.
"May the floss be with you." And of course, this is awesome bit where Batman, he quickly tosses the grenade out the window. I've always loved this bit where he just shields Gordon with the cape. It's like
the grenade, like we do get some good impact there.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay, so of course
I really hate these checkups.
Just with the money line, love it. Okay, let's see. So then we're at the Funny Bone shipping hideout. We're basically.
Can I just say, they themed a warehouse, and I'm so happy about it.
Yeah.
Legitimately, this actually gives the warehouses some character. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Crazy.
It's great to make the warehouses a little more personal.
Anyways.
Okay, so
here we have an iconic scene, right?
Yes, we do. Okay, so Joker is
classic. I would be happy to give the line if you're uncomfortable with it.
Well, no, I'm not. Believe me, Dave, I'm not comfortable with this episode.
Okay.
Okay, so just real quick, guys. Well, what's funny is another thing to attribute the episode to. Of course, we always talk about one of our friends, one of our kind of co-collaborators, sort of thing. We know some folks who do a sketch comedy channel called Just Giggle It, and they do this show called Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. And basically the whole formation of that show is very much based upon the Joker-Harley relationship. And pretty much all of that attributed to this episode, let's be honest, at its core.
At its core, at its absolute osmosis, it kind of boils down to this scene.
In many respects, yes. I mean, entirely the episode, but this scene perfectly is what those folks capture so well in live action, based upon a scene like this. I just want to shout them out because we're going through. Because I don't want to drop the ball any further that Arlene Sorkin thing. Because again, seriously, we're going to get to some of the things that are Emmy-worthy scenes for her later on in the episode.
Oh no, I mean, don't get me wrong. Throughout the episode, from top to bottom, she delivers. I think for just a veteran voice actress, a titan of the industry, I think this is absolutely one of her finest moments.
Utterly. So Joker's obsessing over these plans, looking for the next plan to get Batman. Is kind of reevaluating, and then we have so Harley in a nightie, which is more see-through in the comic, kids. So Harley's in a nightie. She's trying to cheer up the Joker in her nightie and everything. And of course, the music is perfect in this episode. As we're playing, here's the thing: they've taken the Joker theme, but we've used Harley's kind of perspective of the Joker theme, made all romantic and kind of almost like sitcom-y. So anyway, so she's trying to put the moves on. Come on, Puddin', don't you want? She's climbing seductively on the desk. Come on, Puddin', don't you want to rev up your Harley? Vroom, vroom.
God.
And Joker just grabs
vroom, vroom is just fucking classic.
I want to say originally they were going to go for Ride Your Harley, but they couldn't clear it.
Oh God.
So Joker kind of grabs her face and just shoves her off the table, which yet again,
is that right off the bat, Dragon? That's domestic abuse #1 right there. That they are just, I mean, by all intents and purposes, not shying away from, and I give them credit.
And again, amazingly, Kids WB, we're getting away with this. I'm glad we did because this is all in the comic too. I mean, I'm glad we stuck to it, but. Again, when you think about just in perspective, all the stuff we got away with on Kids WB versus Fox, it's gobsmacking. So again, it's also a great tease at Act 3 where we're going to do something similar to this, but on a much more massive scale. All right, so
she's got the whoopee cushion, and he is just not impressed.
The whoopee cushion gag, it just makes me laugh so much because I still don't. It's just if you think about it too hard, it's just so funny. I got the whoopee cushion. It's she's making the farting sound with it.
What are you insinuating? Are you insinuating that they use it for kinky stuff?
Well, Tika, that's absolutely the intent. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Oh, God. Yeah, you're right. I don't want my mind to go down.
I was gonna say I have no idea how. I don't want to know how. I got the whoopee cushion.
All right, and that makes us demonetized. I'm just kidding.
Anyway. We don't control what those sick puppies out there think of. That's not us. That's not on us. Anyway, so Joker is just cops. He's frustrated. He knows Batman was right, which then leads to, again, really Man Who Killed Batman levels of Joker dialogue in terms of Hamill's performance in this episode is also top tier as well. And scenes like this that Dini gives him. Stuff like, it's time to cap off our feud with his ultimate humiliation, followed by his deliciously delirious death.
Okay, and here comes my favorite moment of the episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Harley just asks, very cavalierly, why don't you just shoot him?
Why don't you just shoot him?
And then Dragon, we've historically talked shit about the Joker design, but I think in this moment in particular, the fact that he doesn't have any emotion in his eyes, the fact that he's got those doll eyes, if you will, I think it really plays well into just the idea of just shooting Batman point blank and that's it. Is just like that. It's an insult, Dragon. It's a slap in the face to his legacy, and anyone who knows the character would know that.
And again, this brings up the whole love triangle thing too, where he thinks, think about how much he's agonizing over Batman versus Harley. He's like, just right there in front of him right now. It's all Batman. But then it kind of leads to the ultimate. I think one of the Dini's kind of ultimate statement on the Batman Joker relationship, of what Joker wants out of this, what his big. It's everything he ever wants. It's like, know this, my sweet. The death of Batman must be nothing less than a masterpiece. The triumph of my sheer comic genius over his ridiculous mask and gadgets. As he pulls out the acid flower and melts, just Harley narrowly dodges the flow of acid, then melts a Batman dummy's head off. That's a perfect way to encapsulate
symbolism for like a toxic three-sided relationship, Dragon. I don't know what is.
I don't know what is either. It's perfect. I mean, that's just again the passion in Hamill's performance, the framing of just all three parties kind of in a scene. Oh, it's just it's perfect. So as Joker's in doing so, as Joker's kind of making this, kind of striking his poses and everything, he kind of happens upon these plans that he kind of forgot about. He finds the blueprint for the yes, the death of 100 smiles, where basically you drop Batman in a tank of piranhas. And they'd see hungry smiles, and then Joker stops them. I love Tiki. I want to highlight the animation. I think this is what there was a little bit more Dong Yang in this Coco episode, if you ask me. You got Dong Yang in my Coco. You got Coco in my Dong Yang. Where the facial animation is so great, and just seeing how natural the performance was captured in the Joker here. I love just the realistic, just like he just has that human moment of like, oh wait, no. Now I realize why I scrapped this plan. Where it's just like a smile on his face, like that's what it's like. They could have had a V8 moment only in reverse. Like, oh, that's why it didn't work. Okay, that's I just love that. Where it's just, even the strongest Joker toxin couldn't get a giggle out of them. Piranhas can't smile. That whole thing. So that's the big flaw in the plan. Even the Joker toxin will not work on piranhas. Ergo, no smiles, no Joker signature. No plan.
Right, and I'm sure that plan isn't going to come back into play in any way.
Nah, get out of here. But again, Joker agonizing over the ultimate death trap for Batman. That's clearly just so wonderful and simple, and also steeped in 60s Batman, kind of nice. All right. So Harley knows how to make some smiles, which leads to what reaction, Tiki?
It leads to her basically getting just like physically thrown out, right?
I think just literally kicked it. I mean, I think it's literally kicked her out the door onto her face.
And here we go, Dragon. Here the film becomes, or I'm sorry, the episode. I say
it feels very filmic though. Cinematic. It's very cinematic.
Yes. Yeah, but the episode becomes just straight up like like indie. Kind of like street noir, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, so Harley, we have Harley's lament here. Essentially, she's lamenting to her beloved hyenas, Bud and Lou, basically kind of talking her problems throughout to her head here. I'm a certified Harley. Be real. You're a certified nutso, wanted in 12 states, hopelessly in love with a psychopathic clown. At what point did my life go Looney Tunes? Just great dialogue. So she's blaming Batman for all of this. It's been Batman's fault ever since the beginning, getting between her and her puddings. This leads to the flashback portion of the episode. So here's where we flash back to specifically. So we are, believe it or not, we're actually in season 1 of Batman the Animated Series. This goes because Poison Ivy's around. This is after Pretty Poison in the animated series, where she starts as a doctor.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, she's Dr. Harleen Quinzel. This is where I have to give full-on kudos to Arlene Sorkin because she differentiates Harley Quinn from Harleen Quinzel.
She just completely becomes an entirely different character. And, I mean, I think that's incredibly valid because in 21 episodes, or not episodes, in 21 minutes, we just get to see, every aspect of this woman from her psychologist days we see her calling out the Joker. We see her, trying to resist the Joker, and then we see her falling for the Joker. And it's all done. I mean, let me check the timestamp here. Like, we're like a third of the way through the episode already, So it's like, essentially, it's like we get 2 acts to set it up. I mean, the economic, nature of this episode is just staggering in terms of how well it uses its screen time and how effectively. Like, this episode just kind of slaps with moment after moment that just kind of like really hit you.
There is a very impressive economy of story at play here for sure. And yeah, I mean, here's why it's so special, Teak. Here's yet another reason the episode's so special. Is that Arlene Sorkin, try as they may have over the years when she was still doing the voice of Harley, look at the Arkham games for the main comparison here. They pretty much lifted this scene, but the problem is she never played it like this again.
Yeah.
She never differentiated the Harley like the Harley and Quinzel. Like, she just played Harley like kind of classic Harley just as a doctor in the Arkham games when they did like the little tape flashback thing. So we meet Joan Leland, who's basically the boss of the doctors at Arkham here. Well, I mean, like right under like Dr. Bartholomew, I guess. But anyway, so Joan Leland's I teed this up for you when we did Harley's Holiday. So this is so interesting that she later on will become Harley's doctor when she's trying to work her way back to sanity. So I just love that this is like the meaning of these two, and just like her warning her about what's going to happen to her. It's like it's this wonderful crossroads of destiny moment, with Harley, and also we call back in the same episode. We call back the Call me Harley, everyone does, which is basically Harley's kind of greeting to everyone later on. But now we have like a tragic context for, that's what she used to say. That was her greeting, like, call me Harley, everyone does. Call me Harley, everyone does. Great.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. So Harley, as she's getting the tour, she's like saying, I'm drawn to extreme personalities for the challenge. And I
love how this opening scene kind of with her in the flashbacks, Dragon, it paints her as ambitious, but it doesn't paint her as opportunistic. You know what I mean? It kind of strikes a really good balance.
Sure. Where, I mean, I'll tell you this. I will say the only difference from the book to this episode I think transferred better is they cut out a little bit more of like this one seedy aspect of Harley's character that was in Mad Love, where basically you saw that she didn't earn her A's. That sometimes she would kind of sleep with the professor to get an A. So they cut that out, and I love that we did that because it kind of makes it a little bit more ambiguous. So this episode too, like what we're doing right now here, where she's getting the tour, where Joan Leland calls around like the whole like, hey, don't get too starstruck here, as in, don't think you're going to talk to, these are hardcore psychotics, Harley. Okay, they'll eat a novice like you for breakfast. Don't think you're going to come out of this like a tell-all book, which is absolutely what she's kind of planning. She wants to be like a pop psychologist.
She's writing a book.
Yes.
I was hoping to get an about what.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, give me one.
Okay. About what?
All right, there we go. It's like leaving a high five hanging, Dragon.
Well, I'm sorry.
All right, anyways.
Anyway, but yeah, so I love that this is again kind of the other kind of big payoff of Dini's thing he's been doing for all the episodes up to this point, where it's the Gotham's rogues seen as celebrity culture in Gotham, kind of paralleling LA culture, and there's celebrities gone kind of dabbling in crime a little bit.
Okay, so you want to know something creepy, Dragon? You want to know something in the episode that's very creepy, as Mr. Wing would say?
Is it the lighting? You want to talk about the lighting?
The lighting is very creepy, but what I think is even creepier is the Joker's whistle, like the cat call. To me, it's almost kind of like the devil just like calling its prey over. You know what I mean? It's got almost kind of like a biblical, like, oh boy, this is going to be the beginnings of a beautiful, terrible friendship, for lack of a better word.
I mean, like a tragic destiny is literally calling her, and like Joker's
yeah.
Like Joker's overheard this much, and that's given him everything he needs.
That just got to me, Dragon, right there. That's where the episode really had me.
And again, as Tom and Beast kind of said earlier, again, it's like Bonnie and Clyde mixed with Hannibal Lecter, and absolutely, the roots of this certainly are in Silence of the Lambs in terms of the big light bulb. Like how, if Joker's the most terrifying, one of the most terrifying villains ever created, and who's like one of the other like best examples of that, especially a guy who's like very much stuck in asylum on the regular, it's going to be Hannibal Lecter. So why not basically filter Joker through that lens if we're going to make Harley a doctor? Let's just like, instead of making her FBI agent, let's make her a doctor, which gives her a reason to be there, versus like just like the stars aligning for like a one and done case. Right. So again, so like the moment Joker like kind of lures her over there and gives her that wink, you see like her hiding her charmed expression. Like again, the Joker's charisma is going to be detrimental to Harley here. Absolutely.
All right. So then she enters her office and she sees a gift sent from a very conspicuous person. It reads, "Come down and see me sometime, Jay."
Oh boy, and this is great. And again, with the lighting, I also want to mention, I love it's like the cool blues and inside the cell's orange because it looks just crazy. It looks maddening, doesn't it? Looks like the cells are
Like
warmer.
I said, Dragon, I'm dead. Like I'm not just being hyperbolic when I say like there's some elements of kind of like being in hell in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Okay, so also again, I love that Poison Ivy's like in the background of the episode too, where these two characters
Yeah,
like they're in the room.
I'm glad you mentioned her because they don't really get a scene together, but you know, it's like they show her as soon as Harley says that she's interested in, you know, eccentric, larger than life personalities, and it's like, oh boy, that's gonna tee up something.
That it does. And again, that's the big detail that places where this is. That's kind of one thing I'm going to mention too is, with like Old Wounds, they didn't update the designs. That's why, like when Batman and Joker show up, they don't have the, again, this really they should look like season 1, but they don't because again, it would have cost the production. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Okay, so Harley follows up on the flower that was left in her office, and basically I love the power move here. She's trying to establish dominance here. Like maybe the guards would like to know that you've been out of your cell, and then Joker's instantly calls her out on it. They just all like sitting back in his cell,
that's like the one time that Harley Quinzel is assertive towards the Joker, Dragon. And I find it so sad that it's like Arlene Sorkin's voice. It's like you can tell she wants to be in that dominant role so badly. But she's also like, in her heart of hearts, she knows that she's not fit for that role. And you get all that from like a few words of line delivery.
If you were going to tell, you already would have. And then this gives Joker the inch he's been looking for. This gives him like the charisma of the Joker at work as he gives her the sales pitch, and it's wonderful. It's just this whole, sweets, I like what I've heard about you, especially the name Harley Quinzel. Rework it a bit and get Harley Quinn, like the clown from Yes, I know. I've heard it a lot. Just like trying to nip that in the bud. It's the kind of,
it's like she's trying to resist Dragon. It's like it's such a hopeless endeavor, but you're just like you're watching it, and I feel like this episode really stands up on a rewatch because you're like, no, Harley, no, don't do it. It's like, all great tragedies, kind of have that sort of like, oh, maybe if I watch it this time, it'll turn out okay.
Yep. Atomic Beast makes an excellent point here. Atomic Beast says, considering this is Harley's flashback, everything's from her point of view. Basically, some things might be made up, hence the design. So basically, he's saying that might be a great way of like that's why we're in the New Adventure style because she's thinking about it and she looks at New Adventure. That's an interesting
point. Yeah,
I've never thought of it that way, Atomic Beast. That's a great idea. I like that thinking. Okay.
All right.
Good. That's good. And also, there is also an element of perhaps some things are rosier than you might expect. Because always like the kind of the colored perspective. Because again, it's her flashback, Okay. So let's see. And there's one scene in particular that calls to me. We'll get there. Okay. So basically, this Joker saying perhaps that's the kind of name that puts a smile on my face. Gives maybe someone I could share my secrets with. Someone I could confide in. This gives her the. And basically, Joker's taken her own ambition and used it against her here. It's going to be crushing. What happens? So, like, roughly 3 months later, she set up a meeting that was probably very ill-advised from Joan Lee. Like, no, Harley, don't do this. I have a right to do this. Give me a shot at it. Come on, just put all the safeguards in there. And she studied all the Joker's tricks, and I love this. She's waiting for like the Joker to try and entertain her during the whole meeting, but Joker went the other way with it, and I love that. Joker, she's getting pathos from the Joker, something she did not prepare for, which then leads to one of the big Mark Hamill's Emmy win scene.
Yeah, this is essentially like the predecessor to the Heath Ledger kind of like multiple choice stuff, right?
Yeah, this is basically what Dini did. He did a graduation of Killing Joke. Killing Joke always had multiple choice in there, and that was always the go-to for people talking about The Dark Knight. But in reality, him changing the story by telling that story, that's pretty much Mad Love.
All right.
Like the extended storytelling aspect of it, that's Mad Love.
What I think also is just, basically having the same basic foundation of the story, but changing like little details of it.
Oh yeah.
All right. So there was only one time I ever saw my dad really happy. Where was that time, Dragon?
When he took him to the circus. When he was 7.
Oh, I still remember the clowns frolicking about, dropping their pants. My old man laughed so hard, I thought he'd bust a gut. So the very next night, I ran to meet him with his best Sunday pants. I said, "Hi, Dad, look at me."
Demonstrates in front of Harley, and he drops the pants.
I took a big pratfall and tore the crotch clear out of his pants.
So the 2 things. Okay, we got to hit here. So one,
yeah.
I like in the beginning part of the story too, where he says like, my father. I just love like the tonal shift. Like, my father used to beat me up pretty badly, and there's have like that like her like inner monologue saying, "I didn't prepare for that," and then Joker's given these sort of like sometimes he's sitting there doing nothing, bam, pow. So we're using the 66 onomatopoeic sounds dramatically, and I love that. Like bam, pow, and zoop, and all this sort of stuff for a heartbreaking story. Again, that's Dini, man. Again, this is a scene you think kids don't even out of their mind would go out of their mind on censorship. You can't have him talking about child abuse on a network. What are you, nuts? It's kids WB, but again, we got away with it. It's great. And the big important thing about this scene is that the first laugh that they shared together, the very first laugh.
Yes. And oh man, Dragon, I feel, I do feel like a big tragedy when Harley just kind of like just dives in and she's just like, oh God, it's like he got her, folks. He got her.
And Tiki, it's the perfect metaphor for their relationship because there's a laugh and then Joker breaks her heart just with the whole, and then he broke my nose. And that's their relationship right there. I love that, again, given the abusive connotations of the episode, it all stems from this abusive story that brought them together because their story fundamentally is a tragic abusive tale.
Yeah.
So it boggles the mind how we're connecting all of our story threads here. I love it. All right, so and of course, Joker giving the big line is going to come back hugely later in Act 3 here. Just shrugging it off. But hey, that's the downside of comedy. You're always taking shots from folks who just don't get the joke. Like Dad or Batman. Of course. So Harley's made I think Harley's made a logical diagnosis based on this story, taking it to be true, where Joker essentially... I love, by the way, so as she's giving the diagnosis here and kind of talking things up, we're going to reveal to who she's talking to right now. But she's just giving this, there's this great visualization of the Joker's origin. This is exactly what Tom Peace, I think, is teeing up, particularly what I'm thinking about here. It's the visualization of Joker's origin from Harley's warped, sympathetic, perspective.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So we're basically, it's through her lens of Batman, like just threw him into the chemicals, and he's going Tommy gun crazy. But again, it's from that poor guy looking at the mirror of his broken.
Ben Affleck Batman from Batman v Superman.
Pretty much. And remember how intimidating we made Batman look in like the shadowing in the flashback too?
Yeah,
we got the shadow over his face and everything. It's just, and basically she's framing Joker as he's just a child trying to make the world laugh with his antics. Again, as he's opening fire on a crowd with a Tommy gun, though.
Oh boy. Yeah, really good stuff. And then let's see, and then it kind of goes down into
so then we have the reveal of who she's telling. She's telling is
yes, and this is a great reveal, Dragon. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like it kind of turns the episode on its head because it's just like it's like kind of the first big twist of the episode about its halfway mark, where it's like she is just venting out her frustrations to the Joker so that the Joker can smooth talk her, and it's kind of just like a vicious cycle.
Yep, we literally kind of see the break in her mind starting to form. She's making like a little, instead of like a professional therapist. We saw her notes earlier. She's making really very clinical notes, just kind of taking down the story points.
Natural to be attracted to a man who could make you laugh again.
Thanks for thanks for listening. Anytime. I knew you'd understand anytime, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I love she's doing doodles of Batman and everything. I just love the literal full circle element of this too, where we see when we started these sessions, we had the overhead shot of like the lighting being just a circle in the room with the therapist chair and the couch. And now we reverse the complete reversal of the power structure: Joker in the therapist chair and her on the couch. That's the perfect symbol of like that's where the relationship is now. Joker has all the power; he's controlling her. He's the therapist now.
All right, Crazy. So the flashbacks continue. And I love how when the flashbacks continue, Harley, correct me if I'm wrong, but she still refers to the Joker in the third person. She's like, "There's that horrible week when he escaped."
Mm-hmm.
So I love that little. It's a small detail, but it makes the conversation just a little bit more creepy and surreal.
But of course, like body count rises. Like she's not worried about the body count; she's worried about, oh, what if something happens to the poor baby? Oh no. So
and Jimmy Olsen makes a cameo apparently.
Wait, what?
There's a redheaded kid who's like looks like an orderly in Arkham. I'm sure he's not Jimmy Olsen, but he looks like Jimmy Olsen.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, after
he's red-haired with freckles, Dragon. I'm just making a joke.
Oh no, that's fine. It's fine. Just took me back there for a second. Okay. Okay, so now this is the one true flaw of the episode for me. They cut out, I think, the single best part of the book.
Okay.
In this scene, so I love this moment. So Joker's been gone for a week with this escape, and now he's been brought back, and you have this great setup of all the orderlies and the doctors at Arkham are kind of like, oh, this is like early, like season 1 era of Batman, like just Batman still becoming kind of a known entity, where he's just like being brought back. Batman enters the asylum, goes down the hallway carrying like a beaten, like dazed and beaten Joker, like a smile on his face. He's just being taken in there and just dropped at Harley's feet as she's like cradling him. Now in the book. I showed you this because I really wanted you to see it.
Yes.
I thought when I read the book, I saw the episode, then I read the book. It's kind of how it went because that's kind of how I learned about it. Oh my God, this is adapted from a book. I got to check this out. Where when he's dropped in her lap, Harley shoots Batman a glare of just utter hatred and anger, and it takes Batman aback because he did not see that coming. He's just so shocked, like, what does this woman have a problem with? I stopped him from murdering people. What is this? So it's just that always, and then we get to the big money shot of like Joker being taken away and her just completely breaking down. Harley Quinn is created in this moment like that. No, as he's being dragged down the hallway dramatically.
All right, and here we go, Dragon. We see the birth of Harley Quinn. She's stealing stuff from a joke shop. Love how she just like punches the guy when he pursues her for the money.
Yep, just takes everything she needs, including the Harley Quinn costume. Basically, a bunch of gag weaponry in a pinch. Like puts a brick in a rubber chicken to break into the asylum. Uses a stink bomb, stuff like that. So she blows the Joker's. I always loved the glass cell look in Arkham. By the way, we blow the glass cell off. And of course, she has the big iconic reveal moment as we've built her in shadow. Now we reveal her. Say hello to your new, improved Harley Quinn. My pop gun and everything. That's Bruce Timm's money shot right there, baby, right there.
Joker and Harley go riding out of Arkham, laughing all the way home. It seemed like we would live happily ever after.
Yep. So, okay, this is the other. Okay, so now there was a perfect kind of button to this. I understand why they cut it from the episode, but these are like we had the thought balloon moments. Harley had a couple like thought balloons of what her ideal life with Mr. J looks like, and this is where you get the first one.
Married life-esque sequence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very married life-esque. Yeah. Where basically, Harley has like a thought balloon, which works better in comics versus like we already had a flashback. I don't think we would have been able to manage it in this. It would have been a hard sell. I think that's why we cut it. So it's like two. They have like
made it like a 2-parter.
Yeah, that's great too.
Yeah,
where you have like two kids running around Batman's head on the wall, and they have like I always imagine this every time I'm reading the comics, hearing Mark Hamill as like a '50s dad goes, it's like, "Mom and Daddy, the JJ poisoned me." Well, you just poisoned him right back.
Oh God.
God, so and again, like this.
Father knows best.
And fun fact, that little vision, that little kind of these little thought balloon ideas, these were put in the Suicide Squad, the non-Ayer cut, the one that everyone saw.
Yeah.
They had like her like picturing normal as like a setting on the dryer or something. That was that's inspired from that little thought balloon. Anyways, the point being, so she's determined that's never get that little fantasy, her dream life, happily ever after. It ain't gonna happen. Right off into the sunset. It's not gonna happen as long as Batman's around, which gives her motive to end the triangle once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're at the GCPD, and a VHS tape has arrived that's being shown to Batman and Gordon and Bullock in the room there. So basically, it's Harley Quinn giving a very dire, very serious warning about Joker's plans. Like, he's gone off his nuts since he couldn't kill Gordon in the dentist office. He's going to take the whole city out. She's seen gas bombs. She's seen the plans. She removes her mask and her costume for a second to show that she means business. It's not funny anymore. And again, Arlene Sorkin giving that dramatic differentiation in the voice.
What I love about this is that it's got like, I mean, I don't know. Would it be pretentious to say that it's got kind of like a Nolan-like time structure to it?
I think I could buy that.
In the way it's like, we're using flashbacks, but we're also kind of like, like basically the episode starts in the middle of the story, and then we flash back, to show all the origin stuff, and then we flash forward to round out the story. I mean, it's not super complicated. It's not a Rubik's Cube like Memento or Dunkirk are. But I don't know. I think it's something. I always appreciate when episodes play around with structure. Like
that's a good point. I think you're right about that. Sounds right.
All right.
Okay, so anyway, so Harley's basically she's sent this into the GCP hoping it reaches Batman. She's hoping she wants protection and she'll help out. She'll help him save the day in exchange of production. This kind of takes Batman back to like the Harley Quinn of it all, I'm sure, where he always warned her that it's not going to be so funny when it happens to you. As in basically you're going to wake up one day and realize Batman's been waiting for this. He's been hoping for this day. Hopefully he can get Harley Quinn away from the Joker, trying to save her in some way, shape, or form. So maybe the day has finally come. So they're meeting at the docks. And I love Harley's look, by the way. I love like her with the coat and like no cowl on. So yeah, it's a good look for her. Vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. This definitely is the episode where we get to see, the Harleen Quinzel of it all on full display from time to time. And we don't get much of that throughout the show, Dragon, but it's nice to have at least one episode where it's a focus.
Oh yeah, no, Atomic Beast. Atomic Beast has some comments here. Let's see. Atomic Beast says, Mad Love is a horrific version of a tug of war. Joker creates Harley, and then the only way Harley can be free is if Batman just kills Joker, but Batman won't let it happen. Then goes on to say, Batman may not have created Harley, but he most certainly allowed Joker to drive this woman to insanity. That's always been the fascinating thing.
Man, Atomic Beast, cut it. Bringing out some hot takes and some really good takes. I like it.
An excellent point, Atomic Beast. And here's the fascinating thing. I love that we have like this list of casualties within the Batman and Joker's war with each other, because you have Jason Todd, you have Barbara Gordon, you have Harley Quinn, you have of course all the people that are. And we're gonna into another one as we go forward into one of our 2 episodes coming up here. But there are a list of victims of the Joker because Batman hasn't just kind of ended things here. Of course, Jim Gordon too. If you look at the Killing Joke of it all too, the man was traumatized. Mm-hmm. And I love that writers now, like Sean Gordon Murphy, the guy who did White Knight. Remember? You haven't gotten that. Yeah, White Knights. This excellent story kind of breaches on some of that stuff, like the tragedy of Harley Quinn within this war between the two of them. So I love that we're now broaching that sort of stuff in comics that it's always kind of been there since Mad Love, and we're getting there. So absolutely, Atomic Beast is the tug of war for this poor girl's soul. She's always been a symbol of Joker, almost Joker's version of a Robin to an extent, in a sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Right. Okay. So Batman makes a bad entrance on the docks. He checks out the plans; they're legit. And then seemingly, the Joker's on a boat, and he's like, "No one turns Sully on me and lives." As he's opening Tommy gun fire.
I love how like old school gangster that is, Dragon.
Oh yeah.
All right, but his head gets blown off, and egads, that's not the Joker at all. It's a robot.
Yeah, Batman throws a batarang, and oh my god, he killed the Joker. He decapitated him. But
Batman broke his rule.
Batman's going, no, we're supposed to dodge it. He knows this works. it's a batarang. He's supposed to cut his head off. I mean, unless he's like a robot or something.
Oh, can you imagine if Batman actually had that reaction for a second? Oh, that'd be wonderful. All right, but no, what actually happens, Dragon?
So again, we reveal it's a robot. This is why it's kind of an ultimate testament episode. All the stuff Dini's done, the animated series done with the Joker, and Harley, is that we had these kind of pre-programmed machine gun dummies ever since Christmas with the Joker. Ever since the first time the Joker showed up, it was like all of them like shooting at Robin outside the observatory. So it's kind of calling it like a little pre-programmed dummy. So we reveal Harley has injected Batman with a sedative. He conks out. We have really intimidating shadowing on Harley, just in all silhouette and everything after she's drugged him. So, of course, I love fundamentally the doctor's weapon of choice, the syringe. Okay, so then we get to the big stuff here. Okay, so we're at the Aquacade restaurant. I'm pretty sure it's a restaurant. Anyway, basically a place that has a big enough fish tank for what's about to unfold being the idea.
Sounds legit.
So Batman awakens upside down.
Oh boy.
No belt. Honestly, quite possibly the greatest death trap ever conceived for Batman.
Dragon, I'm sure I'm not alone in saying this, but the ending act of this episode is stuff of genius.
Yes, it is. Oh yeah,
it's stuff of genius. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time just sucking its kneecaps here, but let's get into it.
And it's Dini Unbound. Dini Unbound. So Batman, he's upside down. He's got no belt. He's chained, and he's chained above a piranha tank. So Harley Quinn, she's just drinking her grape soda there. And again, just back to the old married life of all we were talking up. Again, the beverage of love, grape soda. It's the beverage of love. Let's be honest. So she explains to Batman the whole thing was a hoax.
Purple stuff.
Yes. Oh god. Anyway. So, okay. I just want to see Thanos like a grape soda commercial because it'd be hilarious.
Oh my god. No, just imagine like a Thanos in the Sunny D commercial, like where all the Avengers are like, like Spidey's like, all right, what do we got? Sunny D. Cap's like Sunny D. Hulk's like, all right, Sunny D. And then Thanos is just like, well, I want the purple stuff.
Yep.
All right. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anyway, so she explains to Batman the whole the thing that at the docks was a hoax. The whole plan thing was a hoax just to get to this point here, where she explains the whole smiles fix to the death of 100 smiles. Where again, it's quite genius. If you hang the victim upside down, the dour frowns will look like smiles to the victim.
It's clever in its own way, but I do agree with the Joker where it's like if you have to explain it, then that takes off comedy points.
Yeah, it does.
The Joker is OCD about the comedy points, man. And as we already established in the episode, Batman's death can't be anything less than perfection.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Oh god! So she's basically closing the chapter. She's closing the books on the whole Batman Joker runaround. She says, "Hey, for what it's worth, I enjoyed some of our romps. I'm gonna miss it." Now we're getting some of that Scott Snyder like Batman Endgame stuff, which I'm already loving. This is the OG version of it, man. This is great. So so she's had some fun here, and then we have one of the great haunting moments here, where sometimes a girl just wants to settle down, and then Batman pulls off his most clever.
Dragon! Oh my god!
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but just give it up to the man, the myth, the legend, Dragon.
We didn't use Conroy a lot in this episode, but when we did, we used him so perfectly.
God damn, that laugh is like one of the most chilling laughs this side of Vincent Price and Thriller, Dragon.
I mean, Conroy's really only done a laugh as Batman here and the Killing Joke animated movie.
It works so goddamn well. It's absolutely one of my favorite moments. I love how fucking uncomfortable it makes Harley.
I know. Okay, so of course Batman pulls off the most clever escape yet. My God, where as she's about to lower him in, he says, "What, you and the Joker?" And they says, "Ha ha 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 ha. I've never seen you laugh before. I don't think I like it." She's getting so afraid. And then Batman plays the mind
half
games.
Of it is Batman using intimidation tactics, and I also think half of it is Batman just legitimately being unhinged about the madness that she's spouted.
Yeah, I mean, I think Batman definitely is picking up on the irony of the situation because he's been saying this for all. He's basically spelling it out as clinical and sad as possible.
Yeah.
You little fool. Like that's where Batman's seeing the irony.
That's a sad line. That's a sad line.
You little fool. Joker doesn't love anything except himself. Wake up hard. And this is where it gets sad. It gets even. Batman's just Conroy is so. Everyone, can't we just give all the Emmys to this episode in the past? Can't we? Just
right? All right. You know what? Around like the more we talk about this episode, I'm not ready to commit to like a top 5 yet, but I think it's kind of wedged its way into the top 10.
Like, how isn't that? There you go. Put in the top 10s.
I'll put in the top 10.
All right.
We'll see. We'll get those last few episodes out of the way, and then we'll talk about top 5. I have a chance to review everything.
Certainly. All right. So then he's just getting gracious. Wake up, Harleen. Joker had you pegged for hired help the minute you walked into Arkham, and she's like, no. He told me things. And then we get the Killing Joke reveal here, where this
is wonderful. Was it his line about the abusive father? And then it gives this like really slow pan to Harley's face or the runaway mom. He gained a lot of sympathy with that one.
Oh boy! You know what? Something occurred to me when I rewatched the episodes. Never occurred to me before, which makes this even more powerful. Is that yet another reason Batman hates the Joker, because Joker will make up lines about his family life where Batman is lacking that family life. It's this guy was constantly, again, if Batman cares about if he's throwing these lines like parole officers and everything, it's like Joker's trying to game the system again, where he wants people to reform. And again, it's like him saying, "Oh, my father was abusive." No, it wasn't. Your mother ran away. No, she didn't. My parents were dead. Man, come on.
And then it just builds to the crescendo, Dragon, where he's like, there was only one time I ever saw my dad really happy. He took the ice show when I was 7. And Dragon, oh my God, the animation here, like the zoom on Harley's eyes where we see the tears, and then just that zoom out, that hard zoom out, where she's just kind of like in this almost surreal, like black void, just like circus. He said it was the circus.
He's got a million of them, Harleen. I love the detail.
Right, just all the Emmys. Jonathan Banks, we know you guard the Emmys. Just give it. Just at least let this episode, like, lend them out to this episode for the year, Dragon.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Back Better Call Saul is in contention again.
Yes. Oh god. Yeah. So what's great too? I love the detail that Batman's calling her Harley because he's just trying to pull her back into being that doctor again. Just trying to get her back to not just calling her Harley, just saying Harley. It's the little details, Tika. It's the little things. All right. So then things just getting there. So I love just if you look at that again, as you mentioned, Tika, she's so heartbroken and in denial. And I love that she's so in denial because this is all she has. If she accepts what Batman's telling her is true, then she has nothing. So she's just like copping to. She's about to lower him in again. Then Batman pulls out another rabbit out of his hat here, out of his cowl, and I love it. Except he'll never. Basically, Batman makes the point: he'll never believe you did it. All these fish will leave are scraps of bone and cloth. You'll have my belt, sure, but it's not the same as a body. He'll never buy it. And then you see, I love the animation of Harley's losing her mind here, like the little fingers tapping on the teeth and everything. Like she's just thinking, like, stop, you're making me confused. And she's just thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that just stops her dead in her tracks.
Yep. So then, oh boy, then things heat up. So phone call comes in as Joker's like kind of like going through all the plans.
Name, not funny. Jury duty, blackmail.
To Riddler. But it's always like a thing in the writer's room, by the way. It's to Riddler. It's not a Joker plot. It's to Riddler.
Okay, so then finally he gives up on ignoring the phone. What?
Oh, Harley, where the heck have you been? I love the guy. This is so funny.
Oh, yeah, Batman. What do you say? What? You have him tied up where?
You have who? Tied up where? Oh, it's just great. So it's just this. I just love like just the casual. He's just half listening until he realizes.
Right, yeah.
Just till the realization is the smash cut. So Harley's like, "Next to you, Mr. Smarty Bat." He was so thrilled he could hardly speak. Now, okay, this was where the last fantasy was, and this makes it even more heartbreaking. Again, just given what happens, you understand completely why they cut it because you need that immediacy there. I get it. No problem there, but I just love it. the heartbreaking thing is that there was like a fantasy of Harley's endgame where she was going to have a wedding with the Joker, have like a
Dragon,
whole
it would have been a
full of
La La
babies.
Land ending, man.
It would have been. It would have been like
I love
babies.
La La Land endings, but I'm saying if they want, like at this point, in order to pull off an ending like that, you're talking about adapting this into one of those like 80-minute films. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. God, so
I'm not saying it can't be done. You know, I love a La La Land ending, but I think it's good for what it is here.
Certainly, and it was like you saw my get the old age and everything, where it's like an old Joker and old Harley on a park bench. He was like, they literally went the Up direction with that, way before Up was even an entity. Way before Up was like a gleam in the eye.
Damien Chazelle direct the next Joker movie, and we got a sequence like that with him and Harley.
If Chazelle did like a Mad Love movie, like a legit Mad Love movie,
oh
that
God!
I would
all right. Yeah, we can. That's a rabbit hole. We don't have
right. Okay. Okay, Atomic Beast.
I support that.
Yeah, real quick, Atomic Beast makes a point I'm going to address because it's a good point. He says, just imagine, basically with all the stories that Joker's been feeding Harley and all the different variations, like just imagine how many prototype Harleys before our Harley and what happened to them. That's horrifying. Now, Tiki, I mentioned this once we were doing Gotham way back when they had a pro Harley in that, where there was in the New 52, they did a thing with Harley where the implication was that he tortured Harley once by putting her in a dungeon full of all these Bones and Harley Quinn costumes, implying that she was not the first.
But is it like ambiguous as to whether he just got a bunch of fake bones and a bunch of Harley Quinn costumes?
Yes, it's ambiguous. That's the idea. Okay. You don't know. I mean, it's crazy. That's the thing. I don't want to think about how horrifying that is.
I know
that's true.
Pretty dark.
But it is. I mean, it's possible. And right now they're trying to usher in like a new Harley with that punchline character. It's not the same thing, but basically Joker having a new hench girl. So it's interesting. Okay, yeah. So anyway, point being, so again, we cut out the fantasy as cool as it was, which again, she sheds a tear on like how beautiful it is, and then he bursts through the doors. That's how it was in the comics. He was like, "Nuts, Demas!" But he was so thrilled he couldn't even speak. Then Harley, it ain't like Fred calling Wilma, kids. It's gonna get real.
Oh God, yeah.
So as Harley's like, Mr. J, she's like, boom, like she just rushes to him and
it's kind of tragic that at this point she still thinks she like did a really good thing and that she's gonna make Joker like super proud.
Yep, and I love Joker responding to the upside down Batman throughout this whole thing. Excuse me, I just love how polite he's being to Batman because he just holds him in such a high regard as the thing he loves more than Harley. He's just, excuse me, I'll be just a minute.
Yeah, and he does that after he just gives like maybe the most violent slap in the episode, just a straight up. I don't know how else to describe it. It's a backhanded slap to the face.
Now that's the one thing the one thing Kids WB wouldn't show, by the way, because in the comic you see the hit.
Well, I mean they cut to it, but for God's sakes, it's all but like
you feel it
fell out.
It was good. You see Batman's reaction to it. Even Batman feels like, oh, I mean, I need. Basically, I love that Batman's in a position now where he had to orchestrate this, but he didn't necessarily want to do it. He had to. So I love like a gleam of sympathy from Batman. Like, oh man, I didn't want it to get this bad, but I got to get out of here.
But yeah, I will concur that the whole "excuse me, I'll be just a minute." That's fantastic, Dragon. That's fantastic.
That it is. So anyway, we have some of the most imposingly composed Joker shots where he's just like you see like the hand is so angry.
This is the episode for this redesign of Joker, Dragon.
Absolutely, and you just have that bit where like you see his silhouette over her, like she's in his shadow, and you see like the arm like about to strangle her practically. But anyway, says I thought you wanted this. I thought you wanted that to get rid of Batman. Only if I do it, idiot. Then she explains the joke. She explains, like, no, it is your plan. You did it. I just turned him upside down. The whole thing we already went through. Then he just, but you had to explain it to me. If you have to explain a joke, there is no joke.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that. That in itself is like the straw that breaks the camel's back in this situation, Dragon.
And then
the man is, if anything else, the man is very tasteful when it comes to the execution of his comedy.
Absolute, full on, yes. Now, I love the scary little intimate, kind of spousal details here, where Harley, she gets so legitimately scared in the scene, she grabs a swordfish to defend herself with, which again, a little over the top and comedic, but just but you don't feel it at all given how tense the scene is. She grabs like a swordfish, like, now calm down, Puddin'. And then Joker hits her with the big callback before he hits her with something else. You forgot something I told you long ago. One of the painful truths of comedy. Sometimes you're taking shots from folks who just don't get the joke. And basically, he grabs the swordfish that she's pointing at him and basically shoves her out the window in one of the most epic money shots ever, where you have this, all the sound just drops out. You hear the crashing of the glass.
It's a Mufasa shot, Dragon. It's a Mufasa shot. And
I love like the build up. You hear like the score building it up, and we just kind of drown the score out as she falls, and you hear like all that glass and everything. Just like, it's just like as she falls in slow motion, and Joker with like the callous, tragic line, "And don't call me Puddin'."
Yeah, I love that line because that's usually like, oh, ha ha, classic Joker Harley dynamics. But no, in that moment with the silence and the fall and the ambiance of everything, that moment like really just kind of like humanizes the evil of the Joker, I thought.
I love that we're just taking that classic thing. Like, again, even with like the fish angle and the whole thing, like, part of me, this episode is like almost designed to make me think of Laughing Fish, where that dynamic is played.
Oh, I gotta think that fish is just there just to be a visual, like, hey, remember Laughing Fish?
Well, again, we literally call back the whole trying to make the fish laugh thing from
right,
Fish.
Yeah.
So I'm saying I know it's in there, Tiki, but I love that it's like we're using that dynamic, which was just so kind of played for laughs, and just to have like, putting a giant fish head on her and stuff like that, like eat it, again, like it's like comedically abusive stuff in that episode. Where it's like this episode's the big call out of like, hey, it was happening under your nose the whole time, folks. You just didn't overthink it because you were having a good time. But it's one of those gobsmacking, like, oh my god, it was there the abusive relationship. This episode's like the huge wake up call. It was always been there, but this one was like fully on display for anyone who didn't get it. It's like it's drawing the connections. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so oh god, and then just how does it get any more heartbreaking? Well, I'll tell you how it gets more heartbreaking. Harley at the bottom of the eye. By the way, the only reason she survived this fall, and I told you about this way back during the Harley and Ivy episode, that booster shot that Ivy gave her. It's the only reason she's alive.
Right.
So Poison Ivy, now you know like the whole thing. Poison Ivy kind of saved her life.
Dragon, connective tissue.
Poison Ivy saved her life. That's how she can survive falls like this, but it's still going to hurt like all get out. So it was my fault. My heartbreaking Arlene Sorkin delivery. It's my fault. I didn't get the joke.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I got to tell you, Tiki, for years that never got me, but I look at it now because I've gotten soft in my old age, I guess. But just that line breaks my heart every time I hear it.
No, that's not. Yeah, definitely.
That's the sobering, like, oh my god, that's the real world coming in right there. That's the whole I didn't get the joke, and she still blames herself. Anyway, so basically we have the big kind of whammo
comic levity from the Joker side of things.
Joker's apologize. I really have to apologize. He's lowering Batman from the death trap. Because again, he can't get behind this death trap. He doesn't have a seal of approval. I love that. So it's just Joker. I really have to apologize for the kid. No respect for tradition. You understand.
Perfect, Dragon. That's fucking perfect.
It is. Oh god. So let's just forget this whole thing ever happened. Okay? Just like slaps him. He's like whistling like this is a dark thing I noticed, by the way. He's whistling the Cradle Will Rock song, like When the Wind Blows the Cradle Will Rock, basically Baby Fall. Baby. Yeah, Rockabye Baby. I don't know why I'm talking about. Yes, it's very much Rockabye Baby, which of course is about Or Baby Will Fall, Harley Just Fell. It's really dark.
That is creepy. That is creepy.
And this is the biggest insult. This is like one of the great catches of the episode. So Joker, he stops himself, he turns away. Then again, a bat in the hand is worth two in the belfry. He pulls out a gun because Tiki, he's about to just shoot him. From Act 1, and it's still, so long as Batman goes out on a laugh, where it's just, hey, I use that bat in the belfry line, that'll work. And the
right.
Harley pitched this in Act 1. That'll be hilarious to me personally. That'll work too. It's just like, I guess you're going out on a laugh after all. So Batman awesomely, now that he's not suspended upside down, kicks the gun, the cracks the tank, the piranhas are flowing out. Joker's like comedically like he's getting eaten by piranhas. Oh, very cute, Batman. As Batman's picking the lock with his teeth that he got from his belt and everything. It's great. So then the showdown happens. So Joker's fleeing. And he tries making a jump between buildings. He falls. He grabs a railing and it falls. And, of course, classic Batman Joker thing where Joker falls to his death. Not because he's on the train, baby.
Made you look.
And he's just laughing. Again, I love Joker's ego is getting in the way right there. Nah. He took his eyes off him just long enough.
She almost had me,
This is great.
Oh, yeah. So essentially, Dragon, I'm not going to try and recite every last bit of poetic dialogue that we get from Kevin Conroy here, but I do think that he makes just a very impassioned speech about, like, with all your theatrics, Joker, tonight Harley came closer to killing me than you ever did. And Dragon, you got to know. That's like an oh fuck no kind of moment for the Joker. That is like an over the edge, like, all right, here we go, all bets are off.
And I love just the logic of Batman's absolutely right. And again, there's like a book full of like the Batman death traps, and it is mentioned this is actually the closest Batman's ever come to truly dying here. Where again, he really had no way out of here. Dizzy from the blood rushing to my head, no way out other than convincing her to call you. And of course, the P.S. on that scene, just knowing Joker's ego would never allow someone else the honor of killing him. She came a lot closer than you ever did. Puddin'. Just that puddin' right there. He says puddin'.
Oh yeah.
That's what makes Joker snap. And then we have one of the all-time, like one of the top fivers for me, one of the top 5 Batman Joker fights, the savage fight on top of a train, Spider-Man 2 style. Just again, like he attempts to strangle Batman, and Batman discombobulates with a head clap, and then some brutal hits, like rib cracking hits, and then Joker pulls out the knife, and Batman punches him off the train into a smokestack. And of course, Tiki, going all the way back to like the first appearance of the Joker, the way you do the Joker deaths are usually falling from a great height, and it's the ambiguous death. You know he's going to come back.
Of course, yeah.
That's how you do it. Just actually, in the comic, he says "not again" because he does this every single time with the fall. Like, not again.
All right.
So then we have our coda.
We get like a fucking depressing ending.
This ending is so brilliant to me, Tiki.
This is like some Darren Aronofsky, like Requiem for a Dream shit right here.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not that depressing, but I mean, for kids WB, it's up there.
Absolutely. So, by the way, I completely forgot about this. But here's why: because this, again, it's an adaptation, and she was around during this time. Summer Gleason, who's not in New Adventures at all, she actually has a little cameo here. She's the news anchor because this is done during the animated series. Summer Gleason's only appearance, basically saying that Joker's. It's questioned if Joker survived his latest brush with the Batman because we haven't seen him yet. Which, of course, tees up our big finale here. So, we return to that lighting scheme down the hallway as poor Harley, after everything she's been there, she's she's in a wheelchair, all cast and bandaged up and everything. And basically, we have this inner monologue about maybe Harley's sobered up this time. Maybe she's gotten over the joke. Joker's gone, and she's been heartbroken irrevocably, it seems. Never again. No more obsession. Again, getting back to that Harleen Quinzel. We got back to Harleen Quinzel inside her head for a moment there. It's great. No more obsession. No more craziness. No more Joker. I finally see that slime for what he is. A murderous, manipulative, irredeemable. And then, Tiki, what do we reveal?
We reveal, I think it's just a single flower, right? Yeah,
with
a little rose.
Yep, a little single flower, just like the flashback that says, "Feel better soon, Jay." And then we hear Angel. And Tiki, this is the thing that'll haunt my nightmares in the best of ways. Okay, this is the cue that ends this episode, the music cue, because we then bring back that love theme. And it's just something really off, and just Arlene Sorkin's delivery of Angel. It's the perfect ending.
Right. I mean, this is what I'm talking about with like the the heavy hitting indie drama of it all with this episode. Is like, this is not a fun ending, Dragon. Like, this is the type of ending, like, if you saw an ending with this exact kind of context to it in an R-rated, I don't know, like I said, like Darren Aronofsky comes to mind or something. Like, it gets genuinely upsetting outside of just being in a kid's show. It's genuinely just like an, oh my God, like history is just bound to repeat itself. And this poor woman is just, like been dragged through so much, but she's about to get dragged through so more. Yeah, it's great. Dragon, I'll let you give your final thoughts. But before that, I am just going to go ahead and parlay my final thoughts into Atomic Beast, because I think he has a really good kind of like ending statement, and I can't say it better myself. So Atomic Beast says, Mad Love is Joker's Mask of the Phantasm. Andrea broke Bruce while Harley broke Joker. That's why Batman is laughing at Joker's expense. Joker unintentionally created someone to steal his glory.
Yep.
Well said, Atomic Beast. Well said.
Excellent, excellent. So again, before I give my final, I just want to also say again, I think the reason the ending's brilliant is Dini took the idea every show always has to revert the status quo. And we revert the status quo in the most chilling way possible, saying it's going to keep going, but now you'll do it. It's like Denny O'Neil once said this thing about alcoholics and that in his recoveries that it's not that he never took another drink again, but it's like you'll never take another drink without knowing. So in the story context, it's like you'll never watch another episode without knowing. You'll know now what goes into it. I thought that was just brilliant. Okay, so final thoughts for me. Possibly one of the best Batman stories ever written, period, just in terms of the story. Here's the weird thing about the episode, because of the whole messy business about being kind of adapted, but that original story. It's like I hesitate to say it's the best new Batman Adventures episode because, again, it's an animated series entrenched holdover. It's still a great episode anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I would hesitate to say that too, just because there have been some like absolute utter gems. So again, Dragon, I'm gonna have to, like, when all is said and done, I don't know if like ranking the episodes in any sort of way or tier lists are part of your grand scheme or grand plan, but I have thoughts. So
But yeah, certainly this is a powerful origin for Harley Quinn. Takes the fun fan favorite, and Dini added this tragic layer to what's been there under our noses the whole time. It's like so you never forget she's on Joker's side. As much as you want to save her, person, as much as you root for and you want to save her, she's on his side. She'll always come back to him, and this answers why in such a riveting way. Like, why is she on the Joker's side? Why is this relationship so personal to her? We answer these questions so wonderfully and so powerfully. And it's like ultimately the thing to come away with is that the draw of Harley Quinn, what makes her so popular is it's the humanity. It's because she's so fun. She has she makes jokes, she makes observations that we usually don't in the super serious world of DC Comics so many times. She was the breath of fresh air. She's like the fun you can get on Saturday morning television. She was kind of cartoony in a way that Batman avoided for the most part of kind of the tone with the show. And we add to that layer of this episode the human tragedy in that humanity that gave her the stay power. That's why Harley stuck around for 25 years plus. I mean, going almost 30 years at this point. For me, look, this episode doesn't quite top the comic, but it's a stellar adaptation. This is as close as you get, by the way. This is as faithful an adaptation as you get, minus that one scene we took out in the thought balloons. That's all we left out, really. It's a work of art in the history of Batman. I love this story, and I'm so glad it made it to the big leagues in the animated series. It would have been a crime had they never adapted this episode, and then we did, and it was great.
All right, so Dragon, take us out. What's the next one?
Bruce Wayne engaged. Billionaires in trouble. The Batman retired. Can the Bat family function with Batman as a newlywed? Will Bruce Wayne ever find happiness? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated Bat time, same animated Bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Bat Cave with chemistry. Vroom, vroom, don't you want to rev up your Harley?
Angel.
Also, shout out to Atomic Beast. You're awesome, buddy. Have a good night, everyone. Woo!